Joining us live on the news is Professor Bola Akinteriwa, Professor of International Relations at Achievers University. Oh, well, thank you very much for joining us on the news at 7. Well, today, Antony Blinken completes his 2-day visit to Nigeria. What's the significance of this trip in strengthening U.S.-Nigeria relations?
It's quite significant. There's no disputing the fact. The issue is when, for instance, as a diplomatic practice will show, visiting a country is always consciously, carefully prepared. And there is always a strategic objective in visiting. We talk about official visits, we talk about unofficial visits, and there is also officious visits. So what has happened actually is that Blinken has combined official and officious visits together, in the sense that at the official level, he had contacts with Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs. He also had direct contact with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria. That's the official character of his visit. The official character is that, look, we have non-governmental actors, like the visit to the art place in Lagos, which actually made, the host, the woman, particularly happy, saying that this is the first time you will have the opportunity of having a senior level U.S. official visiting. I think it is quite significant. Whether the visit now achieves the objective of coming is completely different a question entirely.
All right, and you made reference to his meeting with Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, who at that interaction retweeted calls for Africa's inclusion in the United Nations Security Council. Do you see the U.S. supporting this ambition?
Never. I do not see the United States supporting Nigeria. No. Based on established literature that we have gone through, the United States would prefer to have Egypt and then South Africa as a second choice. Let me tell you why it is like that. You see, there is no written criteria, conditionality for membership. It is power politics, it is the P5, the permanent 5, that will normally, going by Article 108 and Article 109 of the UN Charter, requiring, unanimity of purpose, requiring the permanent members, to concur, to agree to. So, if, for instance, there is no unanimity, there will not be any way out. The conditionality for consideration for membership of the UN Security Council, 1, it says you must have substantially contributed to United Nations peace operations. Secondly, you must have been paying the assessed dues of the United Nations and so on and so forth. And, there is the principle of weighted voting. That is, depending on how much money you have in the purse, in the coffers of the international organization. So in this case, when you look at Egypt, first of all, let me also say that it is based on regionalization, the 8 regions of the world. Now, Egypt, America wants Egypt to be there, but Egypt does not fall within the Arab world in this case, because Arab world is not a region of the United Nations per se. But the United States has strategic interest in having the Arab world. So, strategic calculations of the United Nations, of the United States, is that Egypt is both an African country and also an Arab country. So the United States prefers to have Egypt. So if the African countries are talking about representation, Egypt will qualify. Now for South Africa, in this particular case, the United States would prefer South Africa because of the multicultural, or different Europeans, Americans living in South Africa. Now, why, for instance, Nigeria, which enabled the freedom of South Africa in 1994, and which started supporting United Nations peacekeeping and even peace enforcement missions since 1960, right from the Congo.
Yes.
They are not considering that. Yeah. You see the politics. Let me quickly mention that. The African leaders initially wanted 5 seats on the Security Council in the belief that there can be a seat for every region of Africa for the 5. But they say no, it will only be 2. But with the strategic calculation of the United States saying that, look, let's have Egypt, then let Nigeria and South Africa begin to struggle to compete. All the European countries, the American countries, the P5, they support Africa having 2 seats.
All right.
And they say that it is only the candidates brought forward that they will support. So in this case, it is politics. I don't believe in all these diplomatic mutual lies.
I hear you, Prof. I hear you, Prof. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Professor Bola Akintayo is Professor of International Relations at the Achievers University. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for having me.